Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this webinar series. Today, we are hosting our chiefs, the Zambian languages chiefs and French chiefs, to interact with all of us. We are looking at assessment. What are the challenges that learners face as they go into French or Zambian languages? So today we are privileged to host the chiefs. We have the chief for French who has sent a proxy. Madam Twiggy is in the house. We have Chitonga 1 represented by Mr. Mwilu. We have Chitonga 2 represented by Madam and Chief Sylvia Chigunta. And then we have also Inchibemba, chief represented by the deputy chief, Mr. Mutale. So far, these are the ones we have. We're expecting Chitonga, Luvale chief trying to enter, will join us later on. For now, the rules are that we will give the chiefs about 5 or so minutes to talk about the challenges that candidates face every time we go into marking these exams. And then after the chiefs, the present chiefs, the 4 chiefs that are present, after they've spoken, now we'll open the lines to all of you to ask questions for clarifications, for additions, for subtractions, so that at the end of this discussion, we'll at least have the insight of what we should take now to the classrooms as we teach our learners. Without much ado, allow me to welcome the proxy for French chief, Madam Twiggy, to take the floor. Madam Twiggy, you are welcome. Please unmute yourself, Madam Twiggy.
Hello?
Hello, we are getting you. Hello, Madam Twiggy.
I'd like to thank you very much. Yes, I was saying I'd like to thank you very much for allowing me to join this platform, and I hope I'll be able to represent Chief Matanda very well. The challenges that we find are faced by the learners in the exam is start as their composition writing. It's almost as if a child would have entered class at grade 10 and come out through grade 12 without ever having practiced any of this, because you'd find some learners will just copy the question through and through in order to try and meet the required number of words. And this brings us down to the fact that probably most of us teachers are not teaching composition per se, because each notion that you tackle should have at least 1 or 2 compositions that could have been tried out by the learners. So that is one. And then the other challenge is with vocabulary when it comes to the closed passage. It's everyday language and things that you'd expect in class and also practiced over time, but children really have challenges in that area. And the third area would then be language structures, where we're testing structures and grammar. The rest of the paper, when we have comprehension and summary, it's well done, and almost always in every school you'd find that this is the area in which children do well. And I suppose it's coming from the fact that children know that they have to read a comprehension text, maybe twice or three times in order to understand what's going on. So this is where it leaves us with the belief that are not given enough practice when it comes to composition writing, everyday vocabulary. I think I rest my case.
Thank you, Madam Twiggy, for that presentation. We will now go to Chitonga 1 before we open the questions. The questions will be done after all the chiefs have presented. We go to Chitonga 1. Mr. Mwilusa, please take the floor. Mr. Mwilu, unmute yourself. Mr. Mwilu, sir, we can't get you. Unmute yourself. Mr. Mwilu, unmute yourself, please. We can't get you. Okay.
Yes, I get
okay.
me now. I get me now.
Yes, now we are getting you. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Yes, I was saying I'm Mr. Mwilu, Chief Examiner. Now, we have a lot of challenges in the composition. That is one. The problems that we have, as the French people have said, most candidates just copy questions. And we have a lot of challenges in the spellings. A lot of candidates can't write in a good composition with a good, correct spellings. Then the punctuation marks is also a challenge there. Paragraphing, most of them, they only write one paragraph instead of each point should have its own paragraph. Then the other challenge that we have is, since in Chitonga we have composition and composition, literature, and proverbs, also idioms. There in the literature, most candidates don't read the books, or they are not taught by their teachers. Hence, most of them fail those questions which are asked because it shows that teachers did not teach those books, or candidates did not read those books. So those are the major challenges that we have. We can also maybe talk about handwriting. In most of the schools that we have, especially rural schools, you would think maybe this child is not in grade 12. But the way they write, examiners have challenges to read what most candidates write. So that is also a challenge. The other problem that we have, I would just maybe talk of some candidates missing the paper. They used to write paper 1 and maybe writing paper 2, but you find in paper 1 they are not going to attempt anything. So there were a lot of absenteeism because of literature which they didn't write or they didn't read. Then the other thing that I would talk is the handwriting. Anyway, sorry, on the handwriting I've already talked about it. So those are the major problems that we are facing as examiners. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mwilu, for that elaborate presentation. Thank you so much. We go to Chitonga 2. Madam Sylvia, please take the floor.
Okay, hello. Are you getting me?
Yes, we are getting you, madam. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. This is the Sylvia Chigunda, Chitonga 2. So the challenges are with Chitonga 2. I'll start with section A, where we have structure. We have a challenge where most of the learners don't bring out the correct spellings. Then when a candidate writes a correct spelling, this is grammar. In Chitonga, we call it mulaga. So when they misspell an answer, it means that answer is wrong, because that is what we are looking for. So most of the candidates actually lose marks. Where it's 2 marks, they will give them 1. We also have a problem with punctuation. For example, where we are testing direct and indirect speech, and the candidates does not include open and closed inverted commas, meaning that candidate will lose marks for that particular question. Then where we have questions like affixation, we call them tukumbatiho. Candidate lose marks where they leave out a hyphen. Just a hyphen where it's 2 marks, a candidate will be given 1 mark. Then for translation, we have a challenge where candidates do not understand certain words in English. You know, they have to understand the passage from English to Chitonga. So we find that most of the candidates leave out blank spaces on words that they do not understand. So the moment they do that, they lose marks on knowledge of the subject matter. So teachers, let's make sure that we teach translation in class. Learners should not only find this in the exam. Then for comprehension learners have a challenge of not reading the passage. What they do is they will just straight away go to the questions and look for answers in the passage. So for question 11 and 12, usually they perform poorly because they don't read the passage. Then summary, we have a challenge where candidates, because they are not taught by us teachers in schools, the candidates fail to differentiate between a prose summary and a note summary. So what happens when we are marking is when the candidates answers, like maybe the question is on the prose, then they bring out note summary. We grade that candidates out of half, that is out of 10 marks. So meaning that candidate will lose marks for that. So let's make sure that in Chitonga, as we teach our learners, key thing is we make them understand the difference between a prose summary and a note summary. In Chitonga, where it's a prose summary, we include a word limit. In Chitonga, we say muhile mabala, maybe mabala ata indiri kumwanda umwe, meaning your summary should not go beyond 100 words. Then when it's a note summary, the key thing that we tell our learners is there's the key words in Chitonga is gunomona, meaning in English to select. So let's make sure that we make our learners understand in class so that as they get to the examination room, they will not have these challenges. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that elaborate presentation, Sylvia. We now go to Mr. Mutale Inchibemba 1. Mr. Mutale, sir.
Good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mutale. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. In Inchibemba 1, we have a number of challenges that the candidates face. We have composition there, and we have literature and proverbs. Now, in composition, you find that some of our candidates, they don't follow the rubrics of writing the composition. In certain cases, you find that they even do not include the title as they are writing the composition. The other thing is the orthography, the spelling system. In Inchibemba, we have the doubling of vowels, which will actually differentiate the word classes when you double the vowels. So we find that most of our candidates do not know how to spell if it is a verb or if it is a noun by doubling the vowels. Then handwriting, as the others have said, sometimes you even wonder if this is a grade 12 pupil writing. You find that the writings of the compositions, sometimes you cannot even read. So we have to make sure that the teachers who are teaching are actually teaching even handwriting sometimes. And then the copying of questions is very common where the pupils have not heard anything. For proverbs, you find that we have accepted proverbs, but they will start giving completions that are not acceptable in the proverbs that we have. So the other thing in the composition is the cutting of the words at the edge of the paper. If they find that there is no space at the end of the paper, that they will cut the word and then continue this other side, which the teachers maybe should be teaching how the people should be writing. Maybe the other important problem that we see is the long sentences that the candidates are using. As they are using the long sentences, you find that the idea which they had started with is lost as they are writing these sentences. They include a lot of things in one sentence, which will actually confuse the markers to what the candidate is trying to talk about. So these are some of the challenges that we have in Bemba paper 1. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mtale. That was very elaborate. Before we open, George, do we have people in the audience? I can't see any.
They are there. We are 12 in it, so we have about how many?
Have you admitted them? I can only see ourselves here.
We have about
no, in this meeting we are on, it's only us.
No, they are there.
Where are they hiding?
There's Chilumba, there's Dr. Mlea, there's Mr. Mkemu, there's Jaime Kennedy, there's Samba, there's Sir Alex, there's also Stanley Silengo. So they are there.
How will I identify? I can't see them on me. I can only see ourselves. Because I'm about to open to them now for questions.
Okay. You can, I'm sure they can hear you. It's just a matter of them raising their hands when they need to. If they have something to say, I'll be able to. Yeah, I think it's just the view on your screen, but they're there.
No, but inside here it's even written, currently in this meeting there are only 5. All right, we'll see to that.
Oh, the five are presenters, so they are under presenters category. I think that's the one you are able to see. Yes.
All right. The audience, you are all welcome to this series. I'm sure you listened to the 4 chiefs that have spoken. Before I even open to the audience, I was taking notes and I got very, very interested, right from French through to Chitonga and Inchibemba. I discovered that there are crisscrossing issues which are similar, particularly composition. Composition seems to be a challenge, right from French through to the Zamlang, as well as English. Composition seems to be quite a challenge in all these aspects of language. I think that one seems to be a common factor. We need to see how we can harmonize this French, Zamlang, English, as well as the Portuguese and Chinese, who we didn't have chance to bring on board, but I'm sure even them, that could be the challenge. That would be the question even before I open. How do we mitigate this challenge? I think I'm now open for the discussion is open. The audience, you raise your hand, we'll see you and allow you to make a contribution. Where you fail to raise the hand, you can just jot down something in the mailbox and we shall be able to read it and bring it on board. The floor is open. My name is the Chief Lazaro Sinkala. I'm the host and the moderator. Please, the audience, you are free to participate. as we wait for the audience, any of the chiefs can take up the issue of composition, which seem to be Chris cutting. How do we overcome this challenge of composition writing in language teaching?
Hello, Chief.
Hello.
Okay. Yes, Twiggy.
I wanted to suggest that, well, of course, maybe it might be a bit much to ask if you could, for the other languages, if you could translate maybe the book that you have done for teaching composition. But other than that, I think we all as teachers, people who help children and all that would do well to read and study what it is that we do in, say, English, and then transpose that into the other languages so that we help the children. Because I think the basics are the same. A child would have had to be taught how to represent. I submit.
Okay. I received that presentation from the Inchibemba panel, which you are also suggesting and seconding that the Lazarus Nkala English composition and the summary for school certificate be translated into Zamlang. I don't know how easy it would be to translate into French. We are studying it to see how workable it is and the modalities that may be put in place. I think that would be a way to go. We'll definitely get back to the teaching fraternity, for language teaching fraternity, when we get to that. And we may engage you experts now into translating that book, as long as we put in the copyright issues and the laws, we harmonize them, and also what it takes, who owns the copyright, who whatever. We will look into that. Thank you.
Thank you.
There is a hand from SS. That is, there's a hand from Sylvia Chigunta. Yes, Sylvia, go ahead.
Yes, Chief. Then one of the things that can help also, like in Zambian language, we have a challenge where most of the people who teach in some schools, they are not trained to teach the subject. So we find that sometimes they, like us, we have a part of literature in Chitonga. Those who are not trained, they can't teach. They are not conversant with the language. They don't have the content. So what really happens is you find such teachers only reading books with learners. So when you come to the exam, learners are not able to write good composition because they are not taught in schools. So even in schools where we have trained teachers, most of the times we just leave composition to the learners when maybe we are out for a meeting or we are busy. You just say, no, today you write a descriptive composition. You go, you don't teach them. Then what happens to those learners? So what really happens is most of the times these learners are not taught in classrooms. So actually, this is actually seen by the way they answer questions. So as teachers, let's try as much as possible. You can even say maybe per term, you teach them 2 types of compositions, because you know it's very strenuous to mark compositions. You can't give them 3 or 4 because you will not mark books. But at least you can teach them 1 or 2. It will help them, because as you mark, you even tell them the weaknesses. Those good learners will always remember something in the exam. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Sylvia. You can drop the hand. So teachers, we need to learn not to, first of all, we need to ensure that those who are teaching Zamlang are trained teachers, not just picking someone because they are eloquent in Chitonga, Inchibemba, Lovale, Silozi, and we say no, they should teach. It should be trained teachers. I think that's the point we need to emphasize. Equally, we need to bring in the aspect of people not just going to read the stories. They read from page 1 to the last page and they say they've taught. No, the teaching must take place. Okay. SS, your hand has been up. Then we shall follow it by with the Mr. Mutale. SS, can you come in, please, with your contribution? Your hand has been up. Okay, SS seem not to be.
That is Stanley Silengo. Stanley Silengo.
Okay, it's not on my list, but it's just showing SS and Stanley, can you come in, please? Okay, Stanley seem not to be on. Can you unmute yourself, Stanley, if you are muted? Okay, Mr. Mutale, can you unmute yourself and please go ahead with your contribution?
Thank you very much.
And drop the hand, Mr. Mutale.
Thank you very much. We seem to have challenges in literature in Inchibemba.
Okay.
As earlier alluded to by my friends there, the texts, some of the texts are not available. Most of the texts that are being used, some of them are old, and the owners of the texts have not given permission for them to be used as the copies. Now, the challenge that we have is that you find that a school will only have 2 or 3 texts, and most of these pupils will have not attended the class up to that level, so that they get all the information from the literature books. So what we need is to reproduce some of these texts that have been put for the exams, so that we have enough literature books in the schools around Zambia, so that our pupils can do better. The other thing is the composition part. I think with the numbers that we have in our schools now, it is important that we see which methodologies should be used to teach composition. For example, if we can use groups to teach composition, so that as you mark the books, you don't mark the 120 books, but you mark a reasonably good number of books. That's why, most of these teachers are running away from teaching composition, because they are afraid of marking the books. The other thing is that the teachers who are teaching composition should follow, it is very simple. They should follow the things that are needed. For example, you have to teach introduction, you have to teach the main body, you have to teach conclusion, and you have to tell the children that punctuation is part and parcel of understanding the ideas that you are putting across to the public if you are writing a composition. So all these things, I think the teachers should come up with very strong CPDs, especially in composition teaching, so that we improve the responses that are coming from our pupils in the schools. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mutale. I would really want to agree with you, like my colleagues in this house would actually agree with you. Let me take advantage of my being an author myself. With regards to literature texts, where authority is not given and you risk being sued for copyright issues. I have in my hand here, I have this book, Panocharo by Stephen Impash. I don't know if you have it, Mr. Mtale. Okay. This is a book, a very rich book, one of my best books anyway. I read it when I was in grade 4. Up to now, I rate it as the best book ever that I've ever read. Now, it's mythology. It's by Stephen Impash. It was first published in 1956, where before you and I, all of us here, were born, we were not even in the making. Okay? So it was first published in 1956. Okay? And then it was reprinted in 1966, 1967 when I was born, 1971 and 1974 by Kenneth Kaunda, a foundation, publishing and printing division. Now, a lot of people today, including some of us in this house, might not even know Kenneth Kaunda Foundation Printing Division. So where do you start from? Okay. Later on, it was reprinted in 1996 by Zambia Education Publishing House, which is ZEF, today's ZEF. Even if you went to ZEF today, you would not find this book. So what do you do in this case? I don't think, in my view, and I want to submit here, my colleagues, I don't think anyone, and I'm speaking as an author, I don't think anyone would sue you if you went ahead and reprinted this for the sake of the learners, as long as you indicate that you acknowledge, rather, as long as you acknowledge that you tried to get the copyright rights to reproduce this book, but you could not be attended to. Once you do that, that in itself is protection enough. Okay, that is protection enough. And you can show evidence that you indeed wrote to the current Zambia Publishing House. So if you are using it for education purposes, I'm emphasizing, if you are using it for education purposes, that you are protected under the copyright laws. You only be jailed if you get Lazarus Sinkala English and composition and you translate it and you start selling as your book. That way you'll be prosecuted. If you get Panocharo by Stephen Impashi, okay, you reproduce it and start selling, not for academic purposes. That way you'll be prosecuted. But for academic purposes, classroom purposes, my colleagues, I'm challenging you. Try to make copies for the learners, even photocopying them, and protect yourself by writing, acknowledging that this is not your work, you are just using it for learners' purposes. No one will prosecute you. Thank you. I saw a hand up. I saw a hand up, it has gone down. Okay, anything else, my colleagues? That was the Chitonga paper 1. Mr. Mwilu, is he still in the house? Mr. Mwilu talked about handwriting. Okay, before I come to my submission, there is a hand up from, I can't read the name, it's just S. Please go ahead.
Sylvia. There's a Sylvia. Now, I think this is a different Sylvia.
Okay. Sylvia, go ahead, please.
You can unmute your microphone, Sylvia. Chief, Sylvia is gone.
Okay. I wanted to talk about, Mr. Mwilu talked about handwriting as a challenge. I don't know about Zamlang and French. For us in English, have become very unpopular. Is handwriting part of our mandate? I'll pose this question. Should the candidates lose marks or fail their exam because of their poor handwriting, unreadable, or maybe difficult to read handwriting?
Sir,
Yes, Mr. Mtare. You can drop your hand. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr.
Handwriting, sir, is part and parcel of examination for especially languages. Because if, for example, we are given a paper and the examination council actually calculates the number of papers you are going to mark in a specific period of time. Now, if the people whom you are marking have a handwriting which is very difficult for you to read, it takes you a lot of time to mark, which will become very costly for ECZ. So we have to take into consideration that handwriting is part and parcel of the examination, and that the teachers who are teaching these pupils should pay particular attention to making sure that the handwriting is at least illegible, so that when people are marking, they don't waste a lot of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mtale. I think that's where we have a challenge for us in English. Much as handwriting, yes, like Mr. Mtale has ably explained, we find it very difficult as to where to place the penalty, you know. So for us, we've said, well, difficult as it may be, we can't say it's part of the assessment, because if a candidate has written a composition in a very bad handwriting, but all the spellings are correct, all the punctuations are, all the rubric has been followed, but very difficult for the examiner to read, that at what point are you going to say, no, I am deducting these marks? That's where we found it a challenge, really. And then also from that backlog have become very unpopular because we've said, well, handwriting is not a mandate of per se teachers of language. It's a mandate of every teacher, okay? Every teacher, because it's not just English, Zamlang, French, Portuguese that is read. Every subject is read. And the same challenges that teachers of English, teachers of Inchibemba, Chitonga, Ruvale, Kikaonde, the same challenges that this handwriting pose in this candidate, I mean, they are the same. So it must be even in the science, mathematics, all of them, everyone, every teacher must be concerned about the handwriting of Elena. Twiggy's hand has been up. Yes, Twiggy, you can unmute yourself and drop the hand, and you go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Chief. I just wanted to agree with you that maybe penalizing a child for bad handwriting is a bit much. And I would like the August House to just maybe, could we make a distinction between bad handwriting and illegible
Correct.
writing?
Yeah.
Maybe when something is bad, it's not really their fault. The system itself could have gone wrong somewhere, because where we're coming from, we were told 1 all the way through to grade 4, and if you are able to write, then we were allowed to use ink. But then if a child is allowed to reach all the way, the system has noticed this, I feel it's a bit fraudulent for us as examiners to come and penalize a child for bad handwriting. So could we make a distinction between legible writing?
Okay.
I submit.
Thank you. Another hand. Thank you so much, Twiggy. You can drop the hand. Okay. Before we conclude, any other submissions, please? Any other submissions? Right. I just want to appeal to particularly Zamlang, in your chief doms. I think let us try to embrace what we have discussed. More so, anyway, I'm being biased because I'm a composition specialist. More so the challenge of composition. Let us put in mitigating factors that will allow our learners indeed come up with that which it takes. We want to see tomorrow's leaders, the youth who are our leaders for tomorrow. We want to see our tomorrow people articulating in our local languages, writing books in our local languages. Let us produce the Lazarus in colors, not writing in composition books in English. Let them write composition books in our local languages. Let them write the structure books. Let's produce such people. The onus is on us. I think we have a very big mandate and a huge task on our shoulders. French, let us do the same. French has made a lot of strides, but we can still do even more. Chinese has come on board. Portuguese has come on board on the curriculum. Let us see how we can embrace all these. George, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Chief, and thank you to our dearest panelists for today. We're really grateful that you made time to appear on this platform. The idea is that we try as much as possible as an association to help our teachers find professional development, find insights and ideas to teach better and assess better our learners in our schools. If you have any, having highlighted these challenges, if you have any specific presentation you'd like to make, or maybe how to teach a particular component in your specific area of expertise or language, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. There's an email that I used to send you the links for this particular program, or you can get in touch with Chief Lazaro or myself via WhatsApp so that we can include. So from here, this onwards, what we want to do is to come up with a schedule for specific presentations. We thought we should start by highlighting challenges and also try to address a few, but then we want to come up with a schedule in which we are going to address specific challenges in a detailed manner so that we can discuss deeper both challenges and strategies for improvement of performance. Another thing that I think the ZAFT president just reminded me is that we have a language and literacy fair idea that we have come up with as an association. We have shared the fair booklet with the guidelines and other things that we can help us. Probably we can, an essay competition is part of that fair program. We wanted to start from the schools into the zones, then the districts, the provinces, and then we come to the national that we will have in Livingstone from, I think, 7th to the 11th of August. So we urge our chiefs and other teachers of Zambian language to also participate, read through the fair guidelines, and then let our learners also compete in these various languages so that we try to build interest in the learners in these subjects and also enhance practice so that they become better at these languages. Otherwise, thank you so much. And next week we'll announce what next we'll have. But for today, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, George, and thank you, everyone. Let me just engage the chiefs that are in here, as particularly the Zamlan chiefs, Mr. Mutale, Sylvia, and Charles. Sorry, and Mr. Mwilu. Please engage me on 0977. I hope you have my number. Engage me on the sidelines so that we can pursue the issue of translating, because it has been coming up for some time now. Translating the Lazarus Sinkala English composition and the summary for school certificate. Let's see, have a meeting somewhere, somehow, so we can discuss it. Hope you have my number.
No, you can give us your number.
0977 67 15
Okay.
56.
56. Okay.
It's the same number for all the networks: 0955 0966 0977 671556.
Okay.
Please try to engage me so that we can definitely discuss and see the way forward. And this is the only way we can contribute to our, to the development of our nation.
Yes.
You know. So thank you so much, chiefs. Come up also with the topics that you feel we can present using this forum in the near future. For instance, Chitonga, Inchibemba, French. You can engage us anytime you feel there's a topic that you'd want to present, or anyone from your fraternity would want to present. We'll be more than willing to host you so that you can present, so that we can share the ideas with the nation as well as the world at large, so that we can move and see how we can improve the results in our secondary schools as well as primary schools. From me, Chief Lazaro Sinkala, I'm saying thank you so much and God bless all of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. So this recording is going to be on YouTube. I think in the next 36 hours, we will share the links so that you can share amongst the members. They can also watch, and they can even comment on the YouTube channel. We'll be able to pick the comments regarding what they would want to be presented in future. Thank you. I think Madam Twiggy had something to say.
No, I was just saying thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, okay.
Have a productive week ahead.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.